Welcome to Coffee with Marci. As women, many of us think we are defined by what we do and not by who we are. And this can lead to never thinking we're enough and feeling like we've lost our identity when life suddenly changes. Lisa Hartensveld, creator and owner of Creating with Clay, once thought her abusive childhood would never leave her, but instead it led her to a whole new world she never imagined possible. She now helps thousands of people turn their own struggles into smiles. Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Sharing your story, and we get to hear
Yes.
how you put those smiles on people's faces.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so let's talk about your journey. And you came from an abusive household and how that affected you.
Absolutely. Well, it was really tough. I had a really verbally abusive dad, and he often would yell at, yelled at us all the time, but he would often say, "What is wrong with you? You know, what is wrong with you? If you literally closed the door a wrong way, it was, what is wrong with you? If you ate a certain way or stood a certain way, no matter what, you were always had that verbal yelling, what is wrong with you?"
Right.
Permeated, you know, as a young girl.
Absolutely. And that really stays with you.
Oh.
And then that starts to define you, and you do start questioning, what is wrong with me?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so you have a sister?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I have a sister.
And you had also mentioned to me about your mom having a lot of anxiety. And so tell us the role that you had to play in your home.
Well, what happened with the constant yelling from my dad is it really made the whole household very anxious.
Yes.
And so being the oldest in that household, I almost, because you couldn't hardly talk to my dad about things, I had to assume that role of being the one that made the decisions and being the one that, so at a young age, having to help in making decisions when you're so young, it just really, and again, no matter what those decisions were, you'd hear my dad's voice, what is wrong with you?
Right.
So it was brutal. It was brutal time. It was brutal time.
And I really don't think that parents understand how their words can affect children, how that stays with them. And then it starts to define who you are. So you left the household at college, going to college, right?
Yes. So I wanted to be an illustrator. For my escape from the yelling was to sit in my room and do drawings. Okay. So I have books and books of drawings that I would do. And it just, totally transformed me to somewhere else.
Of course, your own world, right?
Exactly. So with that said, I wanted to be an illustrator, and so I wanted to go to art school. So I went to art school, and about 8-9 months into that, a teacher came in and a professor, and they said, if you're not good enough, this is being an illustrator, you're never going to make money, you're never going to, because you have to be good enough.
Yeah.
Well, here I am with this such insecurity and such, what is wrong with me? Well, I knew right away, I'm not good enough.
Right.
There's no way I'm good enough.
Yeah.
So I transferred majors and ended up going into graphic
It's amazing
design.
how that teacher, another adult in a role that defines you again, can make such a change for you in that one instance. So you left your passion and something you loved and changed to graphic design.
So true.
Right. So, and how was that for you?
I hated it.
Hated it.
Oh my gosh, I hated it. It was, everybody wanted something yesterday, and those of you that do graphic design, God bless you. But everybody wanted it yesterday, and it's not what I wanted to do.
Right. It is creative, but it's a very high stress job.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. And because, as we mentioned earlier, because of those words that so permeated really up to 18 years of age. I mean, I remember as a little girl, little girl, just that screaming and yelling, just starting all from that.
Yeah.
And that, again, that voice of being, what's the matter with yourself,
Right.
it just totally, it totally took over.
So
during
what
those
happened?
times. So I taught graphic design I did graphic design for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then in my 4th year, my husband and I had been married, we had decided to start having children.
Yeah.
So I stayed home,
Mm-hmm.
and I was home for about 4 years.
Okay. And after that time, what happened? Did you?
Then I received a phone call from a private school asking if I was looking for something. They had found out about me, that I was, what I had done, and would I be interested in teaching a art program.
Wow,
Art
that must have
school.
been pretty cool.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. So I was hired on as their art teacher.
Okay. All right. And so you were doing the art, teaching art.
I was doing the art, still struggling with, all kinds of things
Right.
in terms
So you
of
still had the
emotional
insecurity.
Insecurity. Yes, most definitely.
And isn't it funny? Like, you're a teacher now, and you have all these children that
Yes.
you are making such a difference for them, but yet you're still questioning yourself and that you're
Sure.
not good enough.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
So during that time while you were teaching, you had a moment,
I did.
and something changed for you.
Mhm.
What was that?
To me, it was that aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I had an idea to write a television series.
Right. Right, like out of the blue. Like, I'm gonna write a television series.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I must have been watching TV someday. I got inspired, I don't know. But
So that creative mind was thinking, and you actually did write a script.
I did. I had no idea how to do it.
Yeah.
And so I did a lot of research,
Yeah.
found some books, and learned how to write a script. And then I ended up, through that process, I ended up befriending someone who was in television.
Okay.
And she had given me a portion of their script, so I kind of knew that what I was doing was
Right.
what I wrote. Yes.
Right. Right. And you actually went and pitched your show.
I did. So under, again, some different circumstances, I found myself in NBC Universal.
Amazing.
And I was pitching this idea to a gentleman there.
And here you are. They actually loved your idea.
Yes, they did. Yes, they.
Yeah.
I had with me a friend of a friend that posed because I didn't have an agent.
That's
I had no
right.
idea.
That's right.
As my agent, and I had him with me, and we sat in the conference room with this gentleman, ended up signing a not confidentiality form, and then, liked the idea, wanted to do something with it. So then the next time I went, they wanted me to kind of define the series a little bit better. And so what I did then is I had to come back with not only the treatment synopsis and the first episode, but little snippets of what the rest of the season would look like.
Okay.
So at that time, my agent couldn't come back with me, so I went back on my own and went over it with the same gentleman.
Yeah.
Met in the conference room.
Yeah.
And the last words that one of the last words that he said to me was, okay, you are going to be a co-producer on this. You're going to be co-writer. We're going to bring writers in, but you're going to co-write it. And we are going to produce this idea of yours.
And now, you walk out of there, you're on top of the world.
Oh
right?
my goodness, this is my proof.
Finally! Yeah.
This is my proof to show that there's nothing wrong with me.
Right. You are good enough. Right? But then something happened. Things took a turn.
Ooh, yes, absolutely. So, about so I leave so now this is all happening,
Yes.
and I'm at the end of my teaching contract.
Yes.
And so I really had decided that the best course of action would be to leave the teaching profession, because I could not leave those students in the middle of a year, especially being contracted, and I'm not that type of person.
So you're trying to do the right thing.
So I really was.
Yeah.
And so maybe I was naive, because again, I really didn't understand this world of television, but I just felt like it was the right thing to do.
Right. And now you're like, my dreams are coming true. That whole thing you were just talking about, like, I am something.
Yep.
And this grandiose thing is going to make me something.
Yes.
Right? So you're going to go after that dream.
Yep. Yep.
And unfortunately, something big like that, when you are feeling small and insecure, it really is the only thing that you feel is going to validate you. But then the rug was pulled out underneath from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So taught the teacher how to do everything, left all my supplies, everything behind, and I got an email about 3 weeks or so later stating that this gentleman was no longer at NBC.
Unbelievable.
And that all my stuff was just flatlined. Like there was nothing, and he didn't take it to any other step, so no one knew about it.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
So, oh my gosh.
Right.
For a woman that was so insecure and so, what is wrong? This was the thing that was going to prove. So now, is there really something wrong with me? Is there really? My mind I just spun. I spun.
I can so relate. Like, now you feel like nothing. Right? Like
my goodness.
Right. Like that was
my validation.
Yeah. And so now it put you into a tailspin.
Absolutely. I didn't want to go outside. I didn't hardly want to talk to people or see people, or I felt like this. And I can still almost describe it. It was like this dark, like cloud, like this. I couldn't see clear, I couldn't think clear, I couldn't hear clear, like I couldn't. The minute I wake up in the morning, I was like in this darkness. It just felt so dark, and no matter what, like it was there. It was like permeating me. And even like then with that came like anxiety, because oh my gosh, now I had left this teaching, I had none of this, and now there may be something wrong with me. Like all those thoughts are
and those things are defining you.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
And yet you're a mom.
Yes.
You have your children and your husband.
Yes. And love them very much.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Of course.
But I was so warped by this, thinking I need to validate in ways that, it didn't even make sense. But
So how'd you pull yourself out of it?
Well, the grace of God, really. I mean, totally the grace of God. I believe that Jesus came along, He picked me up, He dusted off all that darkness, and really set me on that right path to finding out who was Lisa and how was Lisa truly loved. Like, truly loved.
And how did you find that? How did you do that?
Thank God. It was amazing. I really, a lot of prayer and just a lot of, okay, what are my gifts? What was I entrusted? Who is Lisa? I mean, I never stopped to look at who am I really? What
are your talents?
What are my talents?
What makes you happy?
Yes. So I ended up sitting with a nurse next door, and we kind of pondered this together. And we said, well, you could do painting and you can do this and that. And so anyway, clay happened to come to the surface of all those things.
So you knew you loved art.
I loved art.
Right. And it was like, how can you help? And she worked with assisted living.
She worked in assisted living nursing home environment. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so did you decide at that point that that's who you wanted to work with?
I thought that was being the right direction to go in.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started going to my first assisted living nursing home, and I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
It took a little while because
Yeah.
again, I'm coming out of this darkness,
Yes.
and so, but it was so neat because I was seeing too that I was not only coming out of the darkness, but I was coming out of myself.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And it wasn't about what I did that defined me. It was about who was I, and how can I help?
Yes.
There are so many people out there that we can help.
Mm-hmm.
And using those talents and those gifts that I was given to help.
Yeah.
And so now here we are today, and I have worked with clinical psychologists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, and found out that this clay is so good, even like for your endorphins and for your working the mind and the body and molding and doing this therapeutic program. And,
yeah, that's amazing.
So we have worked with people with autism, with Down syndrome, with who have dementia and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. We work with the
Amazing.
Parkinson's Foundation. But above all that,
Mm-hmm.
we work with people that are depressed.
Mm-hmm. And it brings them out of themselves.
It brings them out of themselves.
Right, right. It's a beautiful thing that you're doing,
Yeah.
and
Thank
changing
you.
such in such a beautiful way. Like, you took this darkness and you've turned it around and made it a beautiful thing, and found yourself, and now you're helping other people. And
Yes.
that's where the happiness comes from.
Yes.
You give yourself.
Yes.
You give yourself, and so you're using your talent
Absolutely.
to help these people.
Absolutely.
And so creating with clay. So you have these programs
Yes.
that
Yes.
are in these different assisted living facilities. Is that
Absolutely.
correct? And
Yes,
all
well,
around New Jersey?
Yes, any adults. We even do adult library programs.
Okay.
But yes, all over New Jersey and in the west coast of Florida as well.
Wonderful.
Which is great.
Yes,
exciting.
that's fantastic.
And I'm humbled to say that we are just growing by leaps and bounds.
Fantastic.
And just to see that, again, what I thought was my darkest hour
Mm-hmm.
was really just the beginning
Yes.
of something great.
It was your calling and your path that Jesus had for you, right?
Absolutely.
Your higher power had for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to take that moment of that, or that not even moment, but those months of depression, and now to help people in depression.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, what an honor.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. So you are in New Jersey and Florida, which is amazing. So if someone wants to find you,
Yes.
Creating with Clay,
LLC.com.
LLC.com.
Yeah.
And then from that, something else was spawned.
Yes, which was me. So what happened with that is, while I was teaching these classes in particular, and we have teachers again all over,
Yeah.
people would come up to me and say, "Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
how can I get something like this for?"
Yeah.
And they would say, like, my mother at home, or I had someone say my special needs son.
Yes.
And so we've developed something called the Creating with Clay kit.
Yes. This is a great little thing here.
Thank you.
So tell us what's inside of here.
Okay. So it's everything that you need to actually make a piece of pottery yourself. And in there also is, you don't have to search through like YouTube to try to find a video.
Right.
It's actually, there's a link where
Yeah.
you can, or even a DVD where you can put it in.
Okay.
You can follow along step by step, and
Yes.
it'll do the arthritis exercises, the hand arms, work the shoulders,
Amazing.
everything.
Yeah.
And then you can actually, again, manipulate your own piece of clay
Right.
and make a beautiful piece of pottery.
How great is that?
And that's for all ages.
All ages, absolutely.
Yes.
So here are
Yes.
just some of the pieces. This
Yes.
beautiful flower here,
Yes,
coming into
thank you.
spring.
And
And then of
something for
course
Valentine's.
Valentine's Day, so they are specific to different times times of the year.
Yeah.
And so you have also a website that you can order these from.
Yes, we have creatingwithclaykit.com, and you can go on and do that.
Yes.
And then we also have a link on creatingwithclayllc.com that you can kind of link over and but yes, yeah.
What an amazing journey, and look where you are today. And
Thank
you know, with your story, sharing your story, you are creating hope, and you are creating happiness for people, and how joyful that must be for you.
Oh, it's an honor. It is an honor.
And to see there was such a need for that, and you reached your calling and you're making it happen.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for coming on the show, Lisa. And for all of you watching, this has been an amazing story, but I hope from this you are seeing that there is hope. No matter where you are in your life, if you're watching this and you are feeling down, there is hope. Just listen. And also Creating with Clay Kit. I mean, this is an amazing thing that you can buy for yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
For a family member.
Yes.
And just you turned something beautiful out of a dark place. And I just thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you all for tuning in, checking in with us, and we will see you very soon. Bye.